Hello everyone, my name is Sean Cantu, and today I will be talking about cognitive behavioral therapy in a series of videos. The first video today we will be talking about is the history of cognitive behavioral therapy. So first, this is just a picture of the team members, you could say. Right there we have the founder, Aaron Beck, and then we have Dr. Albert Ellis and B.F. Skinner, whose ideas helped help make what we know today as cognitive behavioral therapy, which was founded by Dr. Aaron Beck. So, cognitive behavioral therapy is one of the most used and researched forms of therapy today. It has evolved over decades, integrating ideas from behavioral psychology, cognitive science, and psychotherapy. It is important to understand the history because it helps us appreciate the scientific foundation of CBT, and it highlights how CBT has evolved from the past theories. It also shows us why CBT remains one of the most effective therapies today. So, CBT did not emerge overnight. It developed through key scientific breakthroughs in behaviorism and cognitive psychology. So, key historical influences. Behaviorism in the 1920s to the 1950s. Pavlov with classical conditioning showed how associations shape behaviors. B.F. Skinner with operant conditioning focused on reinforcement and punishment and behavior change. Then we have cognitive revolution in the 1950s to the 1970s. So we have Albert Ellis, who created the Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy, REBT, which argued that irrational beliefs cause emotional distress. This focused on challenging and changing faulty thinking patterns. Aaron Beck, cognitive therapy, helped identify negative automatic thoughts as central to depression. Developed sorry, He developed cognitive restructuring techniques to challenge distorted thinking. Then, in the 1970s to what we know now today, was the integration of behavioral and cognitive approaches. The combination of behavioral strategies, such as exposure and reinforcement, and cognitive strategies, such as thought restructuring and problem solving, led to modern today's cognitive behavioral therapy. Over time, cognitive behavioral therapy has expanded to treat anxiety, depression, PTSD, OCD, and more, and it still continues to be researched and refined to go for other groups and populations for diversity and ages. CBT emerged by integrating behavioral techniques by changing the actions and cognitive techniques changing the thoughts into a structured evidence-based approach still used today. Some core principles include how CBT is built on to have the guided therapy for thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are all interconnected. A negative thought leads to negative emotions, and which leads to unhelpful behaviors. So, for example, a person who thinks, I'm a failure, might feel hopeless and avoid challenges. By changing thoughts or behaviors, we can break this cycle. It is also with cognitive restructuring, changing the negative thought. Clients identify, challenge, and replace negative automatic thoughts. For example, replacing I always mess up with I made a mistake, but I can learn from it. There's behavioral strategies, which take action to improve the mood, which can be done by exposure therapy, by facing fears gradually to reduce avoidance behaviors, or behavioral activation by engaging in positive activities to combat depression. Therapy is structured, goal-oriented, and short-term. Unlike open-ended therapy, CBT focuses on specific problems and goals. Most CBT programs last 12 to 20 sessions, with homework between sessions where the most work happens to reinforce the learning. CBT is an action-focused and teaches clients skills to manage their thoughts, emotions, and behaviors effectively. So you may be thinking, how does CBT really different from other approaches? Well, CBT stands apart from other major therapeutic approaches in several ways. For example, the psychoanalysis in Freud. The key focus there is the unconscious conflicts in childhood experiences, where CBT is more present focused and does not emphasize deep unconscious processes. Next, we have the humanistic therapy from Rogers and Maslow. The key focuses here is self-actualization and personal growth. CBT is a more structured and goal-oriented, while humanistic therapy is open-ended. And then with behavior therapy, we have changes in behavior through conditioning, where CBT includes both behavior change and cognitive restructuring. Then we have the third way therapies, just as the mindfulness based therapies, the acceptance and commitment therapy. So we have where these key focus are self-compassion, mindfulness, and acceptance. CBT focuses more on challenging thoughts, while third wave therapy emphasizes acceptance and mindfulness. However, CBT still became one of the leading therapy approaches because as it's scientifically tested, CBT is continued to be backed by decades of research showing its effectiveness. And unlike traditional talk therapy, CBT follows a clear problem-solving format, helping with a structured and time-limited approach. It is also very skill-based, as CBT teaches clients practical tools that they can use beyond therapy. So although CBT differs from other therapies by being goal-oriented, evidence-based, and focused on teaching coping skills rather than exploring deep unconscious conflicts, it can still be integrated with other modalities, which we will go and touch more on in a later video. So, as CBT has evolved significantly since its early day and continues to expand into new areas of psychology and mental health, there has been modern developments in CBT. The technology in CBT, there are many apps and online programs to make it more accessible. The third way CBT approaches, there is mindfulness-based CBT, which integrates mindfulness meditation. There's also dialect behavior therapy, which combines CBT with emotional regulation techniques. Also, earlier today, I meant to say acceptance and commitment therapy, which emphasizes acceptance instead of changing thoughts. So, there's also expansion into physical health conditions. CBT is now used for chronic pain, insomnia, and medical anxiety. It helps with behavioral changes in diabetes, heart disease, and obesity management. So CBT continues to adapt and integrate new approaches while remaining one of the most evidence-based and widely used therapies worldwide. So, we can see how CBT has transformed the field of psychology and social work by combining scientific research with practical strategies for change. It has emerged from behaviorism and cognitive psychology and is goal-oriented, structured, and evidence-based. It differs from other therapies by focusing on thoughts, behaviors, and problem-solving, and continues to evolve with new technologies, mindfulness-based approaches, and combining with other modalities and making new changes to fit to diverse populations. So, CBT has stood the test of time because it empowers individuals with practical skills to improve their mental health, not just in therapy, but throughout their health. Because as we will go on in later videos to talk, CBT, I will just stress it again, most of the most improvement and work will be done in between sessions. So, the next videos will explore how CBT works and its application to mental health conditions and going more in depth. Thank you.